All right, so in this video, we will be creating another data flow. However, this one's going to be much different from the one we made in part one. The goal of this one is to make one data flow using an entire folder. And that folder is going to have a bunch of files, but we're going to use Power Query to merge all those files together. And obviously, this is much different from the one we created in part one because we used one Excel workbook to create one data flow, and that one Excel workbook only had one table as well. This is useful in scenarios where you have some type of data that you may export, or even like some kind of technology that you use daily, and you get data from it daily. So if it's like GPS or force plate data, this makes life a lot easier in the long run because all you have to do is take that specific file and drag and drop it into a folder, especially once you have things set up like this that are automatically refreshed, and once your dashboard's created, and the data automatically refreshes, the dashboard automatically refreshes as well. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Probably one of the most useful steps for Power Query in this type of setting. But real quick, we're just going to go look at the folder first. Catapult data, we just have a bunch of CSV files. We'll take a quick look at just a few of them. They're all formatted the same way. All of the same parameters or metrics listed going to the right, and then the top 9 rows are general information that Catapult spits out in their export. Kind of pointless for how we're going to use it, and the 10th one is what we want to use for column headers. So if we looked at just a couple of these, all look exactly the same. These last two are fake games that are made up, which we'll use later in the dashboard that we create. Now, to get these files, all I had to do for this specific scenario is go to Catapult's cloud and export them the way I wanted to. Whatever you're using for this scenario, this is all you really need to do. Once everything's created, which we'll probably get through in under 10 minutes here. So all I'd have to do is export, download. I got the downloaded file. Then all I would need to do is drag and drop it into that folder, because what we create will merge every single file in this folder together. I'm going to delete this, and we're going to go back to our Chrome, and we're going to get started. Now, if we remember from creating this file, the file came from SharePoint. So that's where we're going to go. And now we are going to go into our Bulldog Sports Science team, because that's what's actually the host team of all our other folders. And then from here, we're just going to take this top link and copy that. We're not going to go try and find our folder or anything specific. Just going to use this this link here. Then we're going to go create our data flow. Going to be a little different from the way we did it in part one. So we're still going to add new tables, but instead of web API, we're going to use SharePoint folder here, and we're just going to paste that link. Once again, I'm already connected through an organizational account, so I'm going to click next. And then it's going to pull up every single file that's in Bulldog Sports Science team. So we have a lot of files for a lot of our teams in here, and it's not going to show them all. But that's what it's going to give you. So we can't do much with it right now, so we're going to transform the data and actually change it to be exactly what we want it. So we have the SharePoint folder, but now we need to find the specific folder. We're going to scroll to the right, go to folder path, click the drop down, and this is where we're going to find that practice folder that houses our Catapult data folder. But first, we're going to load every single folder, and we're going to deselect them because we only want one specific folder. This is easy for us because we only have one folder named practice in this. If you have a lot of folders named similarly, this may get complicated, especially if you can't see them. But based off this, I'm going to hope it's the top one because I can't see the ending of this. I'm going to guess it's top one, and we're going to move forward here, and it is the Catapult data, and then it shows all the files that are already in that folder. So we're on the right track. This is perfect. Found the source, the SharePoint folder, filtered the rows to be basically the specific folder we want. Now we're going to combine the files. So next to content here, 2 drop down arrows, 2 down arrows. And this is going to combine all the files that we have in this folder. Now, obviously, all the files need to be formatted the same and look the same, or this is not going to turn out the way we want. Because in the end, we basically want to take all these files, how they're formatted, and make one big file that drops every single column down the same. And it's actually really easy. However, we don't want these files up here. We're going to combine these files, and this is just an example file, first file, but we can change this. So we can change the sample file of this entire Power Query, and then every single file will also get modified the same way that one does. And that's what we'll do here, all the way right. So this is how every single file looks, but everything's already combined together. So if we scroll down, we can already see this. We can already see the different source names, the different activities in column 6 right now. But we've already merged all the files together. So that's great. But we need to change it so it gets rid of these, makes these our headers on every single one, and then this is just the names. This is just the period names. So for that, we're going to go to transform sample file. And the first thing we want to do, get rid of these top 9 rows. So up here, we're going to remove top rows, 9 of them, click OK. And then part 2 is we're going to want to make that other column our header. So what is now column 1, we want to be, or row 1, we want to be our header. We're going to use first row's header. Our steps are going to change over here. And this is perfect. This is exactly what I want every single file to be. So this Power Query is going to take every single file in the folder and turn it into this. And this automatically changed my column types. So if I go numbers will be numbers, decimals will be decimals. Not too concerned with how that looks right now. But this transform sample file is what I want it to be. So I'm going to go back to our query. And then I got to find where we changed it within the steps. So this last file is changed column type. So it's not there. If I move up one, I can find the direct reference is transform file. So this is the step I want to go to. I'm going to click on it, and I changed it here. So all I'm going to do at the top is click refresh. Once this refreshes, double check to make sure it was done correctly by scrolling down, and then hopefully we'll see different activity names, which is exactly what we do. And we don't see any of that fluff. Even once we get to a new file, we don't see the 9 rows at the top. We are just scrolling down perfectly. Exactly how I want it to look. However, there's a few things I want to change. I don't care for the source name column. So all I got to do is click on it, click remove columns. It's going to insert the step, but I still have this little warning thing popping up, and I still got this here. So I go to the next step, I click it, and it's going to prompt me saying error. Column 1 wasn't found. And if we remember from what we just did, when we merged all the columns together, we made our first row as headers. So column 1 is no longer a header. It doesn't exist. I'm going to delete this step. And then when I delete that step, it resets every single column type. Easy fix for that. We go to transform. We can detect the data type automatically, but it's only going to do this one column. So I'm going to click the column, and then I'm going to go Control A, and then it's going to highlight all the columns. Now I'm going to detect the data type. It may take a second, depending on how much data you have. If you have 100 GPS files, it may be a while. Trust me, it still makes life so much easier. Now if I scroll down, every single file that is in there is merged together. So it basically took, I don't know, 12 whatever files we got here and turned them into one big Excel file. So when we get to making our dashboard, pulling GPS data will be a lot easier, and you can filter it by period name, and every single thing is going to be together. And the cool part about this, real quick though, we're done here, so I'm going to save and close. And then we're going to refresh, and we'll set up the automatic refresh on this as well. We'll call this, I'll just say GPS. The cool part about this is all we have to do now is export our file and drop it into that folder, and nothing else. Nothing with the export file. We don't have to go and delete the top 9 rows. The query will do it automatically for us. So we have another data flow set up a little differently. And then we're just going to set up, just go the same refreshes. Settings on Eastern time, add another, go 5 a.m. and 3 p.m. Once again, back to our workspace. Now we got 2 data flows. We have them both set to refresh at 5 a.m. And that's that. Quick overview. All we did in terms of our data was, say we have a GPS, it's Catapult specifically, so this may be how you do it. You may do the email way with bulk files, whatever it is. We export our data, take our data, we drop it into our specific folder we want. And then as long as we do that by the time our data flow refreshes, and which is why sometimes it's nice to have multiple automatic refreshes. As long as we do that by that time, and then going forward before our data set, it automatically updates. And then it'll pull our data automatically into our dashboard.